Hi, welcome back to my channel. And it's been a couple of days since I did my last post. There's not really that much going on at the moment with me. I I had quite a busy weekend. I did a paranormal investigation, and yeah, I mean, other than that, it's been taken up with watching the news and seeing how events are unfolding throughout the UK with the various riots and disorder. Um, And yeah, it kind of makes you think really about, what is society and what makes people tick, I suppose. And I was thinking, like, however angry I might get with a situation, I don't think I could go out and destroy property and yeah, I don't know, burn things and break people's like walls and stuff and throw bricks and I don't think I could do any of that and I'm not saying that I don't have that kind of spark in me, but and I have been quite a sort of an angry person in the past. Not quick to anger or anything like that, but more just kind of yeah, I focused. I get quite snappy, and people have described me as being aggressive, which it always upsets me really because I think it's just my tone of voice and how I don't know talk and I don't like to kind of mess around with like flowery language either. But yeah, I mean, I guess because I was brought up to respect other people's property, I wouldn't necessarily use any excuse of politics or my feelings about my society to damage stuff and that. I don't know. There's a multitude of reasons that are given for these people's behavior, but at the end of the day, yeah, I think it's just what you brought up with like responsibility and that. Because when I was, I don't know, if I'd done something like that, I would have got like a proper clip round the ear. If I had, if I ever damaged anything, and I did when I was a kid, but as an adult, I'd never do that. But that's not to say that I'm not trying to sort of like dismiss people that are out there on the streets. I think there is an anger, and sometimes it's very difficult to actually pinpoint the origin of your anger because quite often other people can trigger your anger, and I think some people are prize stirrers when it comes to this kind of thing, and especially with social media now, it's an absolute minefield. Somebody says something in such a way that um, you kind of feel like you can feel you're kind of heating up inside, and yeah, it's not surprising that some young guys, even teenagers and stuff, are heading out onto the streets to I don't know, just take on the police. Because one of the real things that's going on at the moment is this idea of two-tier policing, which I have to be honest, I've seen when it's pointed out, it does you do kind of look at it and thinking, okay, it's kind of a bit weird the response of police to one situation, and then to a different kind of crowd, um, they do in some cases appear to respond differently. Now, I know that different police forces have different ways of dealing with things, and they also probably have different stuff at their disposal. To some might not have as much as others equipment and um, the numbers to actually deal with things. So there's all sorts of elements to I guess policing and um, but when I guess if you're British and you've been in some of these marches and you've kind of witnessed a heavy-handed policing, then you see other marches which maybe don't have that kind of heavy-handedness. You maybe start to feel that you are somehow not being treated as fairly, and but I think it goes kind of deeper than that. That I think in society, you'll have people that don't feel that they've been treated fairly either. The north-south divide, the rich and the poor, um, and if I guess if you're white working class, then in the old days there was a lot of industries that you could maybe go into, but now it's just a case of you go to school and you hope for the best and see what comes of it. And yeah, I think there were statistics a while back that white working class and some black British students weren't maybe doing as well at school as others, including but I guess migrants and um, yeah, and I think once I think because of I mean school these days, the amount that of exams kids have to do anyway, it really does feel like from what I've heard from talking to other people with who are parents of teenagers and stuff that it the pressure to do well on these exams. It feels, it's a lot to deal with, and also it kind of feels like it's a one chance only in life. That's it. If you don't do well on these exams, then that's it. You're done. You're on a scrap heap for the next, I don't know, 50, 60 years, until you either die or retire or, um, and I guess that kind of permeates throughout certain communities. You see that a lot in poor areas. I live in a poor area, so um, people seem happy enough, but they're it's a big struggle, and they feel a little bit left out as well. So yeah, I can understand there's lots of things going on. Of course, also with poor areas, areas that experience poverty, you'll also get the cheapest housing, I guess, which would, in the event, house migrants as well. So you kind of feel that you're struggling to keep your head above water, but then there's all these new people coming in, and you've got to now compete with them too. And the other thing is that you one might feel that they're driving down wages, which makes it even harder to live. And I know that religion's a big aspect of this, and I guess it's very difficult because um, I'm not really kind of prepared to talk about it because I have to be careful. We have to be careful with how we talk about these subjects. But yeah, I mean, I think religion is a big aspect of what's going on. I think migrants are another aspect. I think um, social disenfranchisement, is that the word? People feel disenfranchised in society, and I think that kind of just anger's just coming out, and also there's a lot of, I suppose, a lot of flash, what was the word? Touch paper events that have occurred over the last, I don't know, like 4 or 5 weeks, and I won't go into them because you know what I'm talking about, and these things can kind of build up, build up, build up, and even though the kind of tragically horrific events in Southport had nothing really to do directly with migration. Um, nevertheless it kind of sparks that kind of anger that you get over kids that are um, suddenly murdered and stuff, and then it kind of makes you it's a more of a catalyst than the cause, than the reason, and I think that's the thing. I think everything that's led up to it, um, that's been the catalyst, and people have just lost their minds, and coupled with nice weather as well. Um, I've never known a riot to occur when it's in the middle of winter or when it's raining. And but yeah, for deaf now, I just want to make it clear that I don't condone for 1 minute people that smash up property that and they're smashing up shops as well. And they pulled. I think they maybe pulled a guy out of his car. You can't condone that, but when the craziness sort of hits your mind, I think that's it's you're gone. And honestly, if this carries on, and I know that Keir Starmer and Keir, oh my God, I don't think the Prime Minister's helping in this. I get he wants to be tough on. I get he wants to be tough on rioters, and yeah, because they're destroying people's neighbourhoods, people's livings. I get he wants to be tough on that, but and in his speeches there has to be a but to this, um, and the but has if he wanted and this is what I don't really understand. If he wanted to stop all the rioting, he needs to kind of hold out that, and we will talk about this kind of. There needs to be another bit, but it's almost like he wants people to be imprisoned. Um, don't really understand it. I really don't understand it. I mean, if it was me, if I was a prime minister, I would be saying, look, we're gonna come down hard on you for doing this, which he said, but but you know, clearly there are deep-rooted, cut reasons why people are behaving in this way, and it's not individuals getting angry. I think it's once you get into a group, um, once that group swells, then it becomes like this whole tribal group effect. Um, and yeah, it kind of emboldens people to actually behave, probably in a way that they wouldn't ordinarily behave. I mean, there's for sure looking at all the crowds, and trust me when I say I haven't just read papers or watched mainstream media. I've really kind of like looked around at this subject and looked at live streams and that, and you get some people who are genuinely angry, really, really angry. But then you get some they've kind of got that I really just want to fight look about them. And it's not anger, it's the kind of things you see when it's kind of things you see just with thuggery, and people need to call these people out as well. But the anger's so high, and I think it's so charged that people will do basically, um, whatever comes to mind, and um, yeah, it's not great, but then I think you know all I think something needs to be resolved out of this, and I don't think it's going to be resolved by just banging people in prison, which is going to happen. I mean, it's already happening now. Happened with the Just Stop Oil um, protesters, so it's for sure it's going to be happening now. But I hope that what has happened prior to any of these riots, um, prior to the riots by I suppose and following the stabbings. I really hope that that the other situations that occurred, the other events that happened, that they will be dealt with as well in the same even-handedness as these are, and because if they're not, then everything everybody has said, all these so-called far rights who um, have a lot to say about to the two-tier policing. Everything they've said about that, if the other um, incidents are not dealt with even-handedly, then we're kind of like looking at as a sort of proof of their accusations, basically, and and that's not good luck either. So personally, I don't really want this to spread. I live in Birmingham, and yeah, I don't want to be inconvenienced and by this going off on my doorstep, or sort of where I work and that, and because it's pretty scary when you watch it. I wouldn't want to be caught up in that. We got caught up in the 2011 riots, and fortunately, we shut up shop, and kind of basically just went home, and yeah, that would have been quite a challenging afternoon had we stayed. So yeah, it's not great, and I really just hope that s- um, that somewhere between the prime minister and the people that are that are that are protesting, because not they've not all been riots. I've just watched one in Weymouth, and there's quite a bit of shouting, but it seemed to be low key, just two protests, basically protesting each other, and with the police right in the middle, and that, in my opinion, is how it should be. um, you know, the right to actually air your thoughts without actually damaging everything. Um, but yeah, I hope at some point somebody in the middle brings everybody together. And that's all I really want to say on this, because it's such a complicated issue, and I can pretend to try and understand, what it is to be a responsible person in society, and um, how to kind of live with others, but it's not really how society works in the scale of, population, of a big population. It might work in a little village. It might work in a tiny little island, but I think when, we've got 70 plus million in this country, and not everybody's going to be on the same page, and, um, responsibility, is seen responsibility to each other in society is seen to be something quite different for each person. It's very subjective. So yeah, I just wanted to have a few words on that, and we have to be careful what we say online. Um, so I 100% I do not want anything I am saying to um, incite anyone, because yeah, I mean it's not going to do you any good. It's not going to do anyone any good, and yeah, you're probably going to regret it when you get a knock on the door. Um, and if I don't know, well, maybe I'll kind of look into this subject a bit more about what makes people riot and stuff like that, and protest in such a way. But right now, I think it's someone needs to kind of step up and be peacemaker in this. Somebody from maybe the Labour Party needs to kind of step up and sort of like try and calm the situation, because at the moment telling people who don't really care that they're going to be sent to prison, it's and that they're that they're far right thugs isn't it's not really helping. You just it's maybe got to use the carrot a little bit as well to calm. Not I don't mean on the people that are smashing stuff up, but the rest of them just need to be kind of calmed down now, and we need to get around the table now and have some serious discussions about society and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to happen, but and I don't know what people would say to each other, because I think it does feel like lines are drawn with certain subjects, and the only other alternative is to literally arrest and imprison everyone with a certain ideology as to how this country should move forward. I say country, I mean the UK. Um, that would be the you have to remove one or the other, and yeah. So I don't know what the solution is. Hopefully at some point somebody will come up with something, but yeah, I don't hold my breath, because I think generally when people come up with ideas, um they're half cocked, and they don't really kind of solve anything. It's just an appeasement of words. So yeah. Okay, that said, I'm gonna just leave this video here now, and I'm gonna try and I need to sort of chill because too much news, it's not good for you. It is not good for you, and it just kind of like drains your energy. So it's kind of back to watching. I don't know. I was watching some Faulty Towers before I made this video, so a bit of comedy. I love watching. I to tell you what I love watching people on YouTube react to comedy. Stuff that I've seen, years ago, like Red Dwarf and Friends, um, things like Cheers. I don't think anyone's actually reacted to Cheers, but I do love comedy and I love to watch people. I think I've forgotten how to laugh, because um, you know what, the word everything. You just too much information, and most of it's bad. So, folks, if I could give you one advice for if you live in the UK, I could give you one piece of advice is just, I mean, not necessarily turn your television off. Just put on your favourite box set. Just watch some light comedy from 30, 40 years ago. Um, just avoid anything that involves politics and opinions, and just try and enjoy life for a bit, because sometimes these things can seem a lot worse. And then when you step back and you kind of like look at it and you kind of wonder why you was getting all so angry, and I think it's because we get drawn into things emotionally, and yeah. Um, so also we've got the Olympics going on, and I I do actually like the Olympics. I find it hard to keep up with all the different events. I would, I mean, I never kind of, it's annoying because I'd like to actually plan my watching with the Olympics so that I could maybe watch events and sporting events that are more unusual to me than your bog standard like running and jumping and stuff. There's all sorts of little things. I watched something earlier on with canoes, and they kind of like jump out of a thing and they race each other. I love stuff like that because I never watch it any other time, and it's great to watch this stuff once in a while. But I just wish I could plan it a bit better, and figure out when everything's happening, because I think it's more exciting if you watch it in a moment rather than after it's happened. Um, yeah. So, folks, I hope you're all right. I hope you're having like a wonderful summer. I hope life's not too shit with you. Um, and yeah, I just it's I get my ups and downs. I'm trying to avoid gambling too much at the moment, and I mean, I don't drink and I don't smoke, so I guess gambling is my vice, but it can be an expensive vice. And for all the best wishes in the world, it's still an issue, and yeah, it takes up a lot. I think just the idea of it takes up a lot of time that I could be spent doing other stuff. I'd rather be doing YouTube videos. I get a lot more pleasure out of doing YouTube videos than I do, um, you know, betting on things like football and and playing roulette, which I really need to stop. Um, and yeah, so there's better things in life, isn't there? And I think that's the way to go forward. And doing YouTube videos, I like to talk. I mean, I talk enough, you know, with colleagues at work. I could talk the hind legs of a donkey. I think the saying goes. Um, but yeah, I like to talk, and sometimes I talk rubbish. Sometimes I have moments of clarity, and I think you know bordering on intelligence. Sometimes I'm just a complete um, donkey head. I don't know what I'm talking about, and that's when emotion sort of if you talk with emotion, it can never really sort of make much sense. But I'm very envious of people that are very logical when they're putting their point across, and even though you feel that you want to disagree with them because of their logic, you can't. Yeah, so I'm quite envious of those people. And when they turn their logic to wisdom, then that kind of really touches the soul, touches the heart, touches the soul, and I like people like that, and I'd like rather have more of that than watching or listening to people rant, because that's not good for the soul or the heart. Okay, folks, I'm gonna leave it there. It's a longer video than I wanted. I only wanted to do about 5 minutes, but if you can manage to kind of get through all of this with me, then well done you. And if you want to tell me something, about your day, then just join me in the comments, and or if you want, if there's anything you kind of want me to, talk about, then or have a think about. We'll have a chat about it, and yeah, I don't want to be controversial on this channel because I really just want to sort of like use this channel to I don't know, maybe I'll talk about some fun things that are going on and just talk about a little bit that's going on in the news, but I don't want to get too in depth with it because the world's an angry enough place without me adding to it with more angry rants. So you know what? Have a great evening, and yeah, hopefully, if I think of something to talk about tomorrow, I'll you know I'll come online and do that. So take care.